Welcome to a new video. I'm the Autistic Autist, and today we will talk about comorbidities with autism spectrum disorder. So first things first, the research for this video was super frustrating. It's easy to find the psychological comorbidities, so you will get your answer things like epilepsy, depression, anxiety problems. All of those are easy to explain and well-known comorbidities of autism spectrum disorder. This can be explained because the life in a world that is not necessarily built for you and more for neurotypicals is in itself harder, makes it more stressful, makes us have things like meltdowns, shutdowns, overloads, and all those can impact your anxiety and depression and stuff like that. So other psychological problems, basically. I mean, like for example, my story with my anxiety coming from meltdowns and so on. I posted a video on that if you are interested. And for autism in general, we know that the brain develops differently, has hypo and hyper connections. I also made a video on that. So the structure is a little different, which explains why things like epilepsy are on the list too, because different brain neurodiverse can lead to not normal reactions of your brain. And epilepsy is in a very, very broad, simple description, not normal brain things. Yeah. But what I wanted is actually research the physical things, physical comorbidities found with autism. And whenever I entered physical, it just in the region is just wrote, "Did you mean psychological?" And I was like, "No, I mean physical," and it was so hard. So then I got the other way around, and I knew of some comorbidities from earlier like other advocates or research that I did, but I couldn't remember where I got it from. That would have been easy. But I just remembered things like that and I researched them, and this way I got my results. So I got my So I got my phone here. Okay. So I got my phone here with my notes, and the first topic is EDS. EDS is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It's a connective tissue problem. You know what, Monique? I think I'll restart again. I don't like the way I said things. I feel so confused. Okay, I'll start again after the intro. So the first topic I want to talk about is EDS. EDS, or Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, is a problem of the connective tissue of your body. It's genetic and influences different molecules in your body that are linked to the connective tissue. And since the connective tissue is kind of everywhere in your body, it's fun fact, it's more like the tissue in between other stuff. That's the way I remember it. Fun fact, it's mostly remembered as the tissue in between other stuff because you have like muscles that you need to move your arm, you have skin that protects your inner parts, you have fat for storage of energy, and then you have the connective tissue. It's not really like that, and it has an important compound which you know well, which is logic when EDS, which changes the connective tissue, is such a problem, but it's like fun facty thing, I guess. So why are EDS and autism connected? Basically, there were researchers found out that way that they looked at the molecular and cellular and tissue level of our body and found many similarities between autism and EDS. What they also found were similar comorbidities like anxiety problems, mood problems, ADHD, and hyposensitivities, or I'm just looking at my phone to get like notes that I made myself. What's the English version? And things like epilepsy and Chiari malformations, sleep disorders and fatigue problems. There are other reasons for autistic to be fatigued, but there's also that level of connection with just a chronic fatigue syndrome. So that's how researchers found out that there seems to be something similar. So they just compared normal people and people with EDS and people with autism and figured out that there are a lot of similarities, which is the first point to start to look if there's something there or if it's just a coincidence. And what they then found was a relationship that indicates that the actual connective tissue impairment can influence the brain development, and thus can influence that your brain doesn't develop neurotypically but neurodiverse basically. So that little connective tissue, which just seems to be in between stuff to like fill out the holes, can have really strong effects on your body. And celiac disease. For those of you who don't know what impacts EDS can have on your body, the most notable symptom is just the hypermobility, which means you can, like, I'm not super hypermobile, but a little bit. So I put my thing here and just show you. Great. Sorry, Monique. I'm so sorry. Oh gosh. Improvising because I figured out something else I can show you so it's easier. Yay. Okay. So there's my station now built. Things like being able to bend your thumb all the way down to there, or being able to bend your fingers until here, kind of an odd way of bending your elbow and stuff like that. I'm kind of hypermobile, but not as hypermobile as you can be. But I can do interesting stuff like touching my neck with my hand and stuff like that that normal people I figured out can't do, but yeah. So this disease can just be something like a normal party trick in you noticing it. Noticing it. So this disease can be only noticed by a person being able to do normal party tricks. So the EDS can be only noticed by you having cool party tricks, or you working in circus because you're so bendy or whatever. If you see a super bendy person, that's an indicator for EDS. But it can also infect a lot of other things, like your joints, kind of your joints plopping out of like your bone, no, your arm kind of dislocating from your shoulder, or hips dislocating, and this can become so severe that you have just random dislocations in your day, to the extreme that you need surgeries to make sure they don't dislocate that much. And this is of course then linked to a lot of pains. There are things like, there are different subtypes in EDS, one for example being the digestive system, which is involved making your body, making your bowel not able to move as much and move less and less, or maybe paralyzed even, and other things, a lot of other things, and things like that. That's just a quick explanation about EDS. So if you're autistic and you struggle with things that doctors can't find out the reason why, and you are super mobile, just look into EDS, and if that's something that kind of fits, because EDS is just something seen as super rare, so your doctor might not think about it. That's all I'm saying. I don't say you have all EDS, so just if you don't know what's happening to you, maybe look at it. Yeah, that's it for EDS and autism. The next, the second comorbidity is autoimmune problems. So I looked at some studies who compared, like, I found studies who looked at the autoimmune is when your immune system is attacking you yourself. So instead of the immune system realizing what a foreigner is and if it's good or bad and it needs to attack it, it realizes yourself as a foreigner and starts to attack you. There are many different autoimmune diseases because anything in your body can be seen as bad, and sometimes, like for example with and sometimes that's the nervous system, sometimes it's the pancreas and you get diabetes, or sometimes it's the nervous system, or it's like the pancreas in your that produces stuff for your body, and insulin, for example, so you get diabetes. There are many different ways basically, and there was a significant link between the number, and there was found connections which, for example, highlight GI problems and the immune system. So that brings us kind of to the next point, GI problems, GI GI meaning gastrointestinal problems, so your whole digestive system basically. And there are things like chronic gastritis which are connected to autism on many levels, because and the bowel is in general such an interesting topic. There's so much things that are happening in there, like our immune system is trained, and like our immune system who is trained with those foreign things that are good for your body in your bowel. There are special locations where they are active and figure out what is good and what is bad basically. So problems with that may lead back to autoimmune problems, or autoimmune problems can lead back to problems in the digestive system. So it's all very connected and sometimes hard to find the reason for the problem. Also, some call the bowel the second brain, because it has its own kind of nervous system, because it has its own kind of part for digestion, everything, and is strongly connected via the nervus vagus, not sure, sorry for anyone, because it's strongly connected to a brain nerve, which is connected. Because there's a strong connection, and there is a strong connection via your bowel to the brain, via brain nerve, and this way they have effects on each other, and when you have, like I had an infection in my stomach, and on those days I felt way more anxious. And sometimes when I feel anxious, that can affect my body, on the other hand, my stomach. So it's often hard to find the reason, but something that helps me realize if it's my digestive system or my kind of mood that's influencing the other is if I'm generally in a good mood and then suddenly I'm not and I can't find a reason, I'm just like feeling bad suddenly, then it's usually me having a problem with my stomach. And if I'm really I had a meltdown, or I'm just not in a good mood, super stressed and everything, and I suddenly have bowel problems, then I know it's the other way around basically. So we have a lot of GI connected things with autism, and that's an interesting part too. The question that I myself would love to find out is if that maybe also be related to the connective tissue and or the nervous system, which are two parts who we already figured out are kind of connected. And there's a lot of research basically that will hopefully be done, and it's super interesting in my opinion. I better not quote it. Let's go a different route. That was to you, Monique. Okay, I try again, Monique. So, and there's also a connection just simply found between. So the autoimmune thing with diabetes, they found in another study that I also read, which is also a meta-analysis of different studies. So it's looking at a lot of studies and also figuring out that there are connections found in many of them. So it's not just one study saying that, is that there are links between not only the. And those studies that I usually use are meta-analysis. So they are like analysis of studies. So when a study figures something out, they compare other studies on that topic and then say if others found that out too. Because if one realizes something, it's interesting, but if a lot realize something, it's like there could be some truth behind it basically. The more information, the more reliable it gets basically. And another one of those analyses found significant associations between diabetes 1, so the autoimmune diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, so problems with your joints, also autoimmune problems, celiac disease, for example. For those of you who don't know, celiac disease, it's when body attacks gluten, so you can't eat like gluten stuff and you actually need like gluten-free stuff. So the people who can only eat gluten-free stuff, those have celiac disease. It's also a problem with the immune system, so you can kind of see some patterns with all of those comorbidities being like your connective tissue, your immune system, or your nervous system being involved. So mutations on that specific gene are also found like in other diseases, for example. So connections meaning like they are related to the same gene, which is different than in those. And the gene can not only be different in one way, it can be different in... No, that's kind of hard to explain. Let's try a different version. Trial and error is the best, I guess, there, but maybe not. Yeah, so you kind of see a pattern there of it being like related to your connective tissue, to your nervous system, and to your immune system. And that's what I also realized myself, being like that my joints are a lot more mobile than normal ones. Maybe not so hypermobile that I would look into EDS myself, but pretty mobile, I'd say. I do have problems with my joints caused by this. I do have problems with my nervous system, with pain from that and stuff like, and with pain from that and like my nervous system not acting how it necessarily would normally. Then I also have problems with my digestive system, so it all seems to be something I can relate to basically. So I find those studies even more interesting, not only because it's such an interesting disease and I love medicine, but also because it helps me figure out myself basically, and that's why I'm making this video. So this is kind of my try on this video. I hope it was easy to understand. I may have been a bit rambly and trying again in this video because I thought about the easiest way to explain it to you guys, because since I now study medicine, I don't really know what is generally known and what I only know because of studying medicine. So if you have any questions, just leave them down below, and big thanks to Monique, who will cut this video, who will hopefully make sense out of it. Yeah, thank you. And one last thing that I wanted to say is that there are a lot of genes related to people who are developing autism, and so it's kind of something connected to genes and the other diseases often that I mentioned here. A last part I wanted to mention is that autism is connected to genes. Not only one, but a lot of them, which means that it takes a lot of mutations, different versions, different connections to get autism, and that to be autistic, which means that it takes more genes to be autistic basically, and varies of those genes, of course. And there can be different varies of genes that are found in other diseases, because most diseases aren't like this is mutated, this gives you that disease, so this is changed in some way and you get that out of it, or this is changed and you get a different hair color. It doesn't have to be something bad, as autism doesn't have to be something bad, for example. So it's a variety of a gene, and since it is like that for a ton of problems and diseases like EDS, for example, you can get similar patterns easily, and that explains why those can be connected so easily, and why you often have comorbidities in the first place. Yeah, I hope that was helpful. I think it's an interesting topic. There are a lot of more things that are connected, and the comorbidities, those are the ones that I found out now. I will look into research further and hopefully we'll get some news there, and I will make another video then. That's it. I hope you had fun, and we will see each other in my next one. Bye!